welcome back. Yeah, it's been a few days and it feels like it's actually been forever. I didn't know if I was going to make a video this week because this week was a little hard. I was especially in my head about certain things, and you know what? You can't control anything in your life. Sometimes you have to release control, and you know what? The ideas started coming in today, so I was really happy about that. Today's topic is going to be geared towards talking about shame, and I wanted to speak about that because not only did I feel a lot of shame in certain areas of my life this week, I feel like a lot of people have expressed that feeling, and I kind of wanted to guide others through that feeling of shame and not feeling so. I guess sometimes you feel horrible about yourself, and um not everyone wants to feel those kind of feelings. And yeah, I just wanted to point out some tips on how you can move past the feeling of shame, or how you can recognize certain points when you are faced with feeling ashamed of something. What is shame? Like, what is shame? What is the definition of shame? Shame is when you feel like embarrassed or guilty um, about a situation or something you could have done, or something you could have done better, or maybe um, a lot of shame comes from the expectations we not only have for ourselves, but from our parents, from our friends, from our jobs. Society has expectations that we're supposed to fulfill. Our age, even, like, it's so crazy, but we have like expectations around what we should be doing at a certain age, and I feel like a lot of people feel that. And even around others, like just by comparing yourself to other people. And that's very common, especially when you don't have a strong sense of identity. That can be crippling because you can drive yourself insane trying to compare yourself to everyone else. And that obviously could lead to anxiety and depression. And by no means am I a doctor, but I know that shame can stem into many different things. In my experience, what shame is when I was almost like not willing to accept who I was in order to people please others. And so what I mean is, like, for example, like, I'll just use my ex as an example. I used to mold myself a lot into what he wanted because um he was a different nationality than me, and so I didn't really know like what the expectations were for him. And it sounds so dumb, but really I thought, oh, I don't really know him. I don't know what he wants or what he would. It's just crazy to think that way, but I used to think, I really got to prove myself to this guy. I really have to make myself the person that he will accept. And that was because at the time I had low self-worth and a low self-esteem. And let me explain this to you. So my true personality, for one, I felt like at the time I didn't really have one. I didn't really express my likes, and I didn't really express my dislikes. I kind of stayed neutral because I never wanted him to think bad of me. And so I never wanted to show anything about myself in order to please him. Now, the shame comes within yourself because after time, I felt shameful to even talk about my own things. If I brought up anything about my family, I almost felt like he was judging me when he didn't even know me. There was parts of me that I would hide because I was ashamed of myself, and that was a reflection of what I had done. That stemmed from me. I had essentially rejected myself because I thought that he needed to, accept me by not expressing myself, but then I ended up rejecting myself in turn, right? That was a big one. And so I ended up feeling like low self-esteem, low worth. I would compare myself to like who he even dated at some point, which I don't even know them. And I did this even with certain things in my life. It didn't just happen with my ex, it happened with my friends at some point, where I felt like, oh, maybe they don't like me as much as their friends, you know, because they're not doing certain things that I expect from them. And that just says a lot about also the expectations you have for yourself. Okay, why do you expect these people to do these things for you? Like, what are you not doing for yourself? And the sad part is you do carry shame eventually, because you're just like, why was I like that? Like, why did I think like that? Or, oh my God, I held myself back from doing so many things in my life out of feeling, you know, the fear of being rejected, or the fear of failure, or the fear of being seen. Like, oh my God, I missed out on so much. And then you shame yourself into the things that happen in your life, when in reality, those are the things that made you. These things, without having happened to you, would not have made you the person you are today, right? Like, I wouldn't be this happy had I not had my terrible childhood and my terrible strings of relationships. And can look back now and I can laugh. Even though at the time, holy ish, I was hurting, and holy ish, I can't believe that, right? I was just going through so much, and it just made me kind of stronger. In the act of being ashamed and experiencing shame, you don't make decisions, right? You choose not to make decisions. You sit in the shame, and out of fear of something going wrong, like something's not going to go right. And that is you kind of almost being in freeze of, maybe it's safer just to do nothing about the situation, or if I do something like bad is definitely going to happen. Shame could look like past failures. So, oh my God, I failed that test. I'm a horrible student. I should have gotten an A, right? It's so funny because you guys are gonna laugh, but literally in college, I took chem. It was my third time, because I took it in high school, and then I took it in college, and then I took it in college again. And I took chem the first time in college, and I decided to withdraw because I had a C plus. No, a C at the time, so it wasn't even a C plus yet. And my professor was like, Sandra, like, why are you leaving? You're gonna pass the class. And I was like, oh my God, my ego was so big. I was like, I don't want a C. Girl, but I was struggling in that class. I was like, I don't want to see. And not like giving her attitude, like that was more of like how I felt in my mind. And I just kind of told her, like, I don't really want to see on my record. And then she was like, but you're not gonna get a C, you're gonna be fine. Like, I guess she saw, oh my God, she saw so much potential in me. Like, she just knew that I worked hard, and she knew she wasn't gonna fail me. But you know, I couldn't see that myself. I was like, what is she talking about? Like, this is gonna ruin me. Like, if I fail, I don't get financial aid. Like, I just kept thinking of the worst things, and I just kept thinking, I'm so stupid, and I can't not get an A. I cannot get an A. So what did I do? I took the class over. Guess what I ended up with? A C plus. With this guy was way worse at teaching. He was very sweet, so I loved him. But he was so bad at teaching. So I really had to scrape myself to like study enough to pass this one. This one I had to work really, really hard. The other one, I was like understanding stuff, just it was a difficult class. And I learned my lesson, because I was like, wow, I was so, ashamed of like getting a C plus just to end up getting a C plus. How do we kind of come out of shame? Like, how do we forgive ourselves and like experience that forgiveness? We start reflecting on these things. So you reflect, but you don't ruminate. So reflection can look like, you know, that was a very bad situation and an unfortunate situation, but we're we're moving forward, and I can show myself the positive things in my life currently um that I am doing, and that is really good. I am so proud of myself. Because I am a few steps past where I was. Rumination can look like, why am I not doing enough? Why am I horrible? Why am I not putting enough effort into what I'm doing? Why am I not like the perfect friend? Why am I not the perfect employee? Why am I not the perfect child? Why can't I be enough? Why can't I be pretty enough? Why can't I be funny enough? Why can't I be smart enough? And just spiraling into the same self-criticism and judgment. That's ruminating. That is you sitting in the same shame and guilt. And unfortunately, a lot of us experience that. I experienced it for many years until I finally learned that I can sit with it, accept it, and then I can move along, because I know that my shame is nothing to be ashamed about, essentially. Like, it happened and I learned, and I can be better for it, right? So self-acceptance is being at peace with your flaws and with your past mistakes, regardless of maybe how bad they were, how sad they were, how much anger there was. You know, it's good to process those feelings, obviously, but you don't judge them. You look back and you can be like, okay, you know, now I know not to make that mistake again. Or now I know that that is the last time that that's going to happen. Also learn that maybe some of my expectations are a little unrealistic. Let's set the bar for expectations that I'm able to reach. Instead of doing 10 things during the day, I'm going to list 5. I'm going to list 5, and out of the 5, I'm going to do maybe 3. Like, that'll be my goal. Okay, so 5, but if I do 3, that is good enough. That is good enough, and I'm going to pat myself in the back and maybe take myself out for some coffee for doing those 3 things, right? Because at the end of the day, doing 10 things in the day, you only have so much energy, and there's only so many things you can do on your own. You don't have like 8 hands like an octopus, right? Like, you know, that many arms to help you. Okay, so another thing is building trust within yourself. So being like, hey, I know I can do this. Like, I know, regardless of what my brain is telling me right now, regardless of the negative thoughts I'm having, I can do this. I am worthy, and I can handle anything that comes my way. And maybe I'm going to go through these barriers and like mountain tops where you're just like, how am I going to get past this situation? Yeah, life is not linear. Life is not easy by any means. So nothing comes as easy as you would think. But you can choose to have a different mindset. You could choose to move forward with confidence in yourself and knowing that you have also overcome things in your past, and that this is just another one of those things that you're going to overcome in the future, with trusting your journey, right? Whenever I get frustrated, especially this week, I got really upset and I ruminated. Okay, so we learned that rumination is when you spiral, you stay in your thoughts. And I kept telling myself, when is it my turn? Girl, it's already my turn. I'm already living the life I want to live. If I would have stayed more present this week, I would have been like, oh, girl, I'm already there. Like, my my present self doesn't even compare to like who I used to be. Not shaming her or anything, because I love myself in every version. It's just I don't have to be her anymore, you know? I can be myself. I can accept all of myself. I can accept myself for who I was, and I can accept myself for who I am. Right? And that means you remain present. And I love that, because you just see things with different lenses. Essentially, you just are able to take in more, and life is just gives you more when you're just content with where you are instead of where you're going or what you've done. So if anything, I would say, if you're dealing with a lot of shame within yourself because of the people around you, because of yourself, especially because of maybe your expectations from society, know that none of those things have power over you. Only if you give it power will it have power over you. They don't really have power over you. If you truly know yourself, if you trust yourself of where you're going. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because when you learn to really just be like, you know what, I'm going to just listen to my gut. I'm going to listen to my gut, my intuition, and I'm just going to keep moving forward regardless of the circumstances and regardless of what my brain is telling me. Yeah, a lot of things just come into your like vibrational frequency. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Everything just gets so much better, and the big problems that you think you're having, they go away. I feel like that was a big one this week, and I'm very happy to have talked about it, because I really was questioning, like I didn't even know what I was going to be talking about today. And you know, you should be very proud of yourself if you're working towards getting rid of shame. It's an emotion we all carry. It needs to be more talked about. Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening. Please make sure to subscribe and like, and I hope to see you in the next video.